In 2021, less than 1% of births in America were the result of an egg donation. And twins Madison and Sydney, who moved to the UK from America aged 9, are keen to find out more about their egg donor and are wondering if testing their DNA could help find her. Hey! Hi girls, how are you?
Nice
Sydney.
to meet you. Yes.
I'm Stacey, how are you? Hello Madison. Oh my gosh, it's lovely out there. So girls, lovely to meet you. Why are you hoping to take a DNA test? What are you trying to find out?
We were IVF and we had a donor mom and we just don't really know who she is.
So you were conceived with the help of an egg donor?
Yeah.
Oh. And you know, I feel like we often hear about sperm donation, but we hear less about egg donation.
Yeah.
Do you remember the moment when you found out how you were conceived?
Yeah. Our mom was 42 when she had us. And my friend had made a joke about how I must be IVF because my mom was older than is normal for having babies. And I said, no, definitely not. We would have known.
I laughed it off to my dad because I was like, oh, so she's crazy for thinking that. And he just awkwardly laughed. And then later at dinner, they were like, okay, we got to tell you something. And it all came out.
So do you remember what they said?
Yeah, it was weird. They were beating around the bush still, loads. Understandably, it's kind of hard. They said something along the lines of, we needed some help to naturally conceive because we were older. We got an egg donor.
We were born in New York City in 1998. My parents had gone to a donor clinic and they selected a donor based off files. In a petri dish, a bunch of eggs from that sample were put in, my father's sperm, and then my mom carried us to term.
We moved to the UK when we were about 9. We were very excited about it, but it was also quite hard. So we're very lucky being a twin. It feels like you have someone always in your back corner.
So when we found out about the egg donor, we had already kind of formed our own self-identity and we were a bit more settled, so it just kind of threw everything back up in the air.
So when do you decide, right, we want to try and figure out who the egg donor is?
After talking it through with them, I asked my parents if they had any information they could share it. And they did actually have documentation of her.
Due to the information on the documents having no contact details and the clinic having since shut down, Madison and Sydney don't know enough to begin the search themselves. How do your parents feel about the fact that you're doing this?
They obviously gave their blessing.
So why is it so important for you to be able to try and track down your egg donor?
For me, it's more, I really want to know my heritage. It's something that I've been taking a really big interest in the last 3 or 4 years. So it would just be really nice to know a bit more about that. But also personality traits that are often tied to genetics, where I might get those from. So I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
It feels like a mystery that we're trying to solve.
It's almost like an experiment. How similar are we, especially considering we've had no contact?
So I think I'm just so curious to what she's like.
It's trying to like decode who we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. This is really interesting. What would your response be if the child wanted to meet you and she said, at the parents' discretion? How does that make you feel?
I think it's nice to know that she's open. Obviously, that's 24 years ago at least. So who knows how she feels about it now. And it's something that she said without having a family of her own, which she might have now. So you don't know.
Exciting and terrifying.
Yeah.
Madison and Sydney are meeting Churi in the hope that their DNA samples will reveal more information about their egg donor.
So who's who? Who's Madison? Who's Sydney?
I'm Madison.
You're Madison.
And I'm Sydney.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So how can I help you?
So we're really looking to find out who our egg donor is.
So what do you know about your egg donor?
We do have some information to go off of, but unfortunately it hasn't been enough to find out ourselves.
I think the more we talk about it, the more curious we get. So I think very eager is kind of how I'm feeling at the moment. I know that nothing might come of it, but just to have like a final answer would be really satisfying.
The place where our parents used the egg donation closed down, and so there's not really any records that we can find at the moment.
Okay, so the thing in the US is that egg donation's not really regulated in the same way as it is here. So the whole thing differs from kind of clinic to clinic and state to state, how it's done, what records are kept, this kind of thing. But what we can do is we can take your DNA and we can upload it to a number of different databases. And because we know about your father's side, we can park it to one side and go, okay, we're not interested in those. And then what we do is we have a look and see the genetic matches that you're getting that must be coming from this maternal genetic side. And from that, you can build the family trees, and then you can start to trace down.
That's so cool.
Apparently, up to 40% of people who use egg donation don't actually report a successful pregnancy back to the clinic, so she might not know that you exist.
Yeah.
And there are obviously a number of different reasons that people donate eggs. I mean, there was a really interesting study done in the US where they showed that for 30% of them, it was altruism. They just wanted to do something nice for somebody. 20%, it was about the money because people get paid. And then for 40%, it was the two of those together. And we don't know what the reasoning would have been behind her having donated eggs at the time. So even if we can find her, it may be that she feels time isn't right for her, and obviously we have to respect that.
We wouldn't want to get in contact with her if she wasn't also eager.
I think that's one thing we both discussed together, that we genuinely we want to find out as long as it doesn't create any issues with anyone. And I think that's our key interest.
So how are you going to feel about this journey that you're going on?
I think, to be honest, it's kind of managing. I'm trying to manage my expectations, not get my hopes up or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to know anything about our genealogy. We know that this is our best shot at finding out anything. At least we can say that we tried.
Yeah.
Three years ago, twins Madison and Sydney discovered they were conceived through egg donation. And they now want to know if their DNA will give them any information about their donor.
The biggest thing about learning that I was conceived by an egg donor is all the questions that it brings up.
I'm very curious about what she does, what is her career, what kind of mannerisms she has, does she have children, what she's like as a person, how similar are we? Finding out about the egg donor is really important to me. It will maybe provide some answers to who I am.
There's a chance I'm extremely similar to this woman. I'd really want to know if she's pleased to have children out there. I think that we're both taking a massive leap here. If someone came back to me and said, "Hi, I'm your child," she couldn't have even begin to imagine that. I think the closer we get, the more apprehensive I actually get, because I think that it would be really strange to find out information.
Usually I feel so many emotions, but I think now I'm unsure of how to feel because I don't know what's gonna happen.
And we're lucky because whatever happens to me happens to you.
Madison and Sydney are going to find out what Churi and the team have managed to discover.
It's so great to see you guys again. How are you doing?
Good.
Good, but nervous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Relieved that we can get some answers.
When you first came to see us, it was to find out about your genetic parent. And that's because you found out a few years ago that you were donor conceived. The fact that you're looking is really interesting because in the last decade, people searching for their donors has gone up 200%.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're part, I think, of a wave of people. They'd like to find out more about that side. And in this case, DNA was really the only route because the clinic has shut down. So we got some pretty clear results about your ancestry. On your donor's side, you are English, Scottish, Irish, essentially from here. That's what your ancestry is.
Mad that we've ended up here, and that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes perfect sense because from the 19th to the 20th century, almost 5 million people migrated from the UK to the US. So the next thing is we wanted to see who you're getting DNA matches with. So we could start building a family tree, which sometimes can take months, years, but this took minutes. Minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. We got a very close match. Not your donor, but a cousin.
That's crazy.
She was lovely and put me in touch with your donor.
Wow.
We were able to find her. Kate, it's her first name. She was just so pleased to hear about you. She lives in the Pacific Northwest of the US, and she and her husband have 2 children. They run their own business and enjoy the outdoors. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Yeah. I'm just shocked. I didn't think you'd be able to find her, to be honest.
I know this is something you've been thinking about for a few years.
Yeah.
Big news.
She would love a photo of the 2 of you, if that's okay.
I'm sure we could manage that.
The least we could do.
Yeah. She's understandably processing, but we get the impression that she would like to be in touch in the future. So really promising, really positive. I'm just so pleased we were able to find some answers to those big questions about your identity.
Thank you so much. Like, we obviously couldn't have done it without you.
Our pleasure, absolutely. Bye. See you soon.
See you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, girls.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Nice to see you.
Oh, likewise. Nice to see you both. How are you both feeling? I know that Churi was able to deliver quite significant news.
Yeah. I mean, it's the best we could have hoped for.
Yeah.
But it's a lot to take in, you know.
Yeah, overwhelmed a bit, but like in a good way. See, I feel like it's still not real yet. Like, I'm just like, yeah, this is a dream. I'm gonna wake up in 5 minutes.
Amazing that the lady who allowed your family to have a family is excited to hear that you're both doing well. And she's asking questions.
No, I think we're very lucky.
Yeah, I think we're very happy because I would have had a little bit of regrets if it did make her uncomfortable, but it was positive reaction.
Surprised that she sounds so delighted that we exist, to be honest. I wasn't expecting that.
What were you expecting, do you think?
Maybe that she wasn't able to be found, but not she was able to be found, and she was also happy that to know more about us.
This is exactly the news that you set out to find, and DNA has allowed you to be given such a clear answer.
Yeah, I would definitely see this success story. To be honest, yeah.
I don't think there would be a better outcome.
Well, congratulations. I'm delighted that you've got good news, positive news.